guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing some book stuff. Today's the 1st of February, so that means Valentine's Day is coming up and I feel like I need to get some romance books. But I also am sticking to my book buying ban, so I'm going to the library today to try to find some romance books. I discovered my library has an amazing selection of contemporary and literary fiction, but the romance selection, I'm not too sure about how great it is. I'm gonna try to pick up some romance books today because I just don't have enough on my TBR card, and with Valentine's Day around the corner, I know I'm gonna be in the mood to read romance books. So that's a goal for today. In this video, I'm also gonna be doing my January reading wrap up. I'm gonna be talking about all the books that I read in January and unfortunately one DNF that I had. And then also I'm going to be filling out my reading journal. I feel like January was just me setting it up like week after week, but now it's all set up and I'm gonna fill it out, and that should be like the really easy and fun part. I'm also gonna be showing you my new vision board. I kind of already did it because I was just switching some things out and putting new things that I wanted there for February, and it's a little bit more pink now. We can also choose a new book for me to read because I'm not currently reading anything at all, and I feel like I want to read on my Kindle because all of January I was reading from my physical TBR, doing a great job at getting that down, but I'm neglecting my Kindle and I pay for that subscription, so I need to use it. So yeah, that's what's going on in today's video. Let's just start today. I ordered this Kindle case from Etsy, and literally all of the reviews were saying the case is so cute, the case came perfectly, but the shipping was like so weird. The shipping took forever. I never got like a confirmation email, like so many sketchy things with the shipping. It was like $17, which I think is really worth it. I kind of had a weird shipping experience with it, but honestly not a bad one because it shipped with something called Go Bold. Literally no idea what that is. I got the email saying that it shipped this morning, and so I go to track it because I'm an insane person that tracks things right as it says it ships. I literally see that it said it got delivered 2 days ago. I'm like, what? I just got the email saying that it shipped. What do you mean it was delivered 2 days ago? Which is kind of scary in this building because all of our packages get put into this one little room, free for all. If you want a gift for yourself, you could just go pick it up, free for, and people have complained so many times about their packages getting stolen. Honestly, everyone kind of already warned me that the shipping was weird. And I knew that it was gonna take long because even on Etsy, it said like it would take 3 weeks. And I was just like, oh, that's fine, whatever. It is so cute. It's exactly how it looks online. I got one of those. I think I was saying that I don't know how I would feel about Kindle cases that have like the little flappy kind of open magnetic thing, but I got one because I'm curious about how I feel about it. It's like a little book. But I just think the design of this is so cute, and I've been loving blue lately. It just has some bows, some flowers, matchbox thing, a little picnic basket, blueberry, teacups, pancakes, this little angel. Is that a coffee teacup? Whatever. Just a bunch of like trendy little things that are really cute, and it's blue themed. She has like a bunch of pink ones and stuff, but I don't know, I've been loving blue lately. The current Kindle case is pink, so I guess I'll have one pink, one blue. I'll also have one without the little flap thing, and I have one with it. So I have options. I guess I can agree with everyone that said the case is great, but the shipping sucks. 10 out of 10. We'll link it down below, but just know that either it's gonna take forever to come or the shipping details won't be correct. You're just gonna have to put your trust in whatever Go Bolt is if you want this. But it was pretty cheap, $17. I feel like that was really worth it, and it feels like good quality. And it is so, so cute. At the library, I got 3 books, and only 2 of them are romance books because I lost the plot, of course. My library does fiction better, honestly. One of the romance books that I got is called Lease on Love by Fallon Ballard, and honestly, the main reason that I got this is because I've read All I Want for Christmas Is You. It's one of those by this author, and I liked it. I thought it was really quick and fun, fluffy romance, and I thought I would give this author another chance. Honestly, the selection of romance books in that library is like, how do I explain it? I feel like the type of romance books that are in there are what my mom would like read on vacation, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not really the target audience for those kind of romance books. I did decide to give this author another chance. I feel like it could be fun. I enjoyed the last one. I think basically the premise of this is that this woman, Sadie Green, is looking for an apartment in Brooklyn, and yeah, Jack is gonna be her roommate and they're gonna fall in love. I think that's the basis of it. But this is something about Jack is still grieving the unexpected death of his parents. So that's kind of sad, but I do think that it's still gonna be light, easy read, nothing too deep. I feel like sometimes romance books can explore these topics but still be very positive. Like, that's the whole point of romance books. Romance books without the happy ever after is just like, why would you do that to me? Anyway, yeah, so I got Lease on Love by Fallon Ballard. And then the next one, honestly, this kind of does look like a book my mom my mom would enjoy. It's called Lizzie and Dante. I absolutely love this cover. It's so summer, it's so beach, and there always comes a point in like January, February where I'm like really over winter, and I just start reading summer books because if I can't be in the sun, if I can't be at the beach, I guess I'll read about it. It sounded interesting, but I feel like this one's gonna be way more emotional. This says that Dante has a dog and a 12-year-old daughter who's desperate for a mother. And it says Lizzie is confronted with the dilemma. Is it right to fall in love if time is short? Is it better to find a mother briefly or to have no mother at all? That sounds kind of dark. A delicious story of love, courage, and Italian wine, Lizzie and Dante demands to know how far we should travel to find a future worth fighting for. And then the last book that I got, this is where I strayed from the plot. This is just fiction. My library just does fiction better. It's 5-Star Stranger. I feel like this was a really popular book when it first came out last year. A lot of people were reading it. It's basically a book about this app where you could rent a stranger to do anything, to be like your best man, to be your stand-in brother, the father to your child. Yeah, something about that premise, it sounds very interesting to me, so I picked this up too, even though this is not a romance book at all. But yeah, those are the 3 books that I got. Those are the 3 books that I got at the library. So I have 8 books that I read in January and then 1 book that I unfortunately DNF'd. I'm honestly so sad about it. So the first book that I read of 2025 was Real, and this book is about Neva, who is an understudy on Broadway. So she finally gets her moment to perform. A famous director, Cannon, actually ends up being in the crowd when she's performing, and he's like, I need her to be the star of my next movie. Like, he just saw her and knew she was it. Like, she was the one for his movie. They don't want to get involved with each other because she's his actress, he's her director. It could get messy. What I love about this book is that the blurb kind of doesn't fully give you the big picture of how much these characters are gonna go through and experience together. I feel like Neva had so much going on in her personal life, like with her family, with her, just she had a lot going on, and I love the way that Canon supported her through it all. It's such a beautiful story. One thing that I didn't love about this is that the family issue that Miss Neva had, the way that it resolved didn't sit right with me. Like, I just feel like her family didn't understand to the full extent the pain that they caused her, and they were just like trying to over explain themselves, or they're just trying to justify their actions instead of just owning up and apologizing, and just, you know, like, you know when people are apologizing for something and they're just justifying their actions and their apology? I can't stand it. And that's what it felt like. But you know what? It doesn't completely throw off the story for me, because the romance is like the main part of the story. That's what I'm here for. It definitely didn't affect me. It just, I think as a human being, I felt for her. I absolutely love this. I feel like Kennedy Ryan is a writer with a lot to say. She always writes with intention, and her books always just leave me in such a good mood, but also leave me feeling more educated on something. Like, there's just always something in her books that I'm like, I can take away from this. This was a great book to start the year with, and all I'm thinking is like, where is the rest of this series? Like, I need it now. I need to continue this series. I had such a good time reading this book, and I read it in this reading vlog. You can see all my reactions there. Was literally kicking my feet, giggling, all of that, having a great time. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. So the next book that I read is The Vows by Jessica Joyce, and this is a second chance romance about Georgia and Eli, and they're seeing each other for the first time in a while because their mutual best friend is getting married, and everything keeps going wrong with the wedding. So they both volunteer to help fix everything. They're going on this journey of like getting the venue together, the flowers, the cake, literally all of that wedding planning stuff. They're doing it together. So they're obviously spending a lot of time together, and we kind of see them both like battle their own demons. Like, they both have their own things going on, and I related a lot to Georgia in some parts of it. But I think that anyone who reads this, you can relate to like one of the others somehow, and I love that part because I love underlining. I just love relating to any books that I read, no matter what the genre is. I love relating to the people in books and like seeing myself in characters. So that was an amazing part of this book. I remember when I first started reading this book though, the part of the writing that kind of threw me off was that the author does this thing where she would throw in flashbacks right in the middle of the current time, but it kind of did throw me off at first, and I was like, oh, we're in the past now. Oh, we're back in the present. And I think that also has to do with every time I'm starting a book, I'm not like as invested, and my focus isn't all there. And so I think that's why it was throwing me off. But I definitely got used to it, and it wasn't anything that was a problem throughout reading this. I actually started to love it because I loved learning about the couple in the past, and it's just something that I love about second chance romance books. The history that they have, that is the thing that makes me love a second chance romance. I know some people don't love them because it's like, well, you broke up for a reason, and that's me in real life. In real life, yeah. If you're telling me you're getting back with your ex, I'm like, well, let's consider this. You broke up for a reason. I totally get that, but in a book where it's fiction, it's all fake. I love it so much. I love seeing the history. I feel like a big thing that people on the internet has been saying is bring back yearning. It's here. It's in this book. The ending of this book had me tearing up so much. Like, there's two different things that happened. It was perfect. I absolutely loved it. I gave this book 4.75 stars, and I read it also in this reading vlog. And I know in the moment I gave it that for a reason. Even if I look back and watch myself reading this book, I know why it was 4.75 and not a 5. But the more that I think about it, I'm like, was this a 5-star read? Like, I think I could potentially reread this in the future and give it 5 stars. I don't know, but I gave it 4.75. I'm just gonna leave it there for now. Maybe if I continue to think about it throughout the year, that could change. So close to a 5. Next, I read Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez, and this is about a YouTuber named, I guess I don't remember, it doesn't matter. It's about a YouTuber. And her big thing on YouTube is like travel vlogs, and what's really important to her is like seizing the moment. It's like what she's known for. She's always talking about like living in the moment and living for every single moment. But then her life changes drastically because her sister, she ends up in custody of her sister's daughter that's a baby, like a newborn baby. Actually, I don't know if it's a newborn, but it's a baby. So obviously life changes really drastically for her, and her next door neighbor is a hot lawyer. Like literally that's what everyone in the building says, he's a hot lawyer. But one night the baby was screaming really loud, and he goes over there, check to see what's going on. He ends up calming the baby down and kind of taking care of the baby for a few moments. But that's just the formation of their friendship. This was typical Abby Jimenez writing, which I love. I feel like there were such cute, wholesome moments. So there's a third act breakup, like lots of romance books, and I kind of just didn't really love how, like, I don't usually mind them. I don't really care. Like, I know it's gonna happen, whatever. I just didn't really love how this one was done, because there's something going on with the female main character, and she's just like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to talk about it. And then when it gets revealed to Adrian, the male main character, and he's like shocked and upset about it, she's like, how did he not know this? I'm like, well, you kept saying you didn't want to talk about it. How would he know this? So that part just felt really silly to me. And then, like, obviously the reunion after the third act breakup, like them fixing it, getting back together and whatever, that was the part that was the dramatics. It just all felt so, it felt pretty rushed too. Like the third act breakup came late, the making up part all felt rushed. It wasn't perfect, but I still had such an amazing time reading this, and I think it's like really cute and fluffy. You could just definitely tell that this is Abby Jimenez, like her earlier work. Especially if you love like the Part of Your World series, you could just tell that this came before that. I still rated this 4 stars though, and I still recommend it. I currently only have one book left for Abby Jimenez that I haven't read, and that makes me kind of sad. And then I read A Moveable Feast by Ernest Hemingway, and this book is just describing Hemingway's time as a writer in Paris when he was younger, and it just kind of goes through his days at cafes and like his favorite bookstores and writing. So much of this book is just enjoying the simple pleasures of life, and it's just such a love letter to Paris. It honestly made me want to revisit Paris. There's also moments in here with other famous writers that just feels illegal to read about. Like just reading about F. Scott Fitzgerald in that way, I feel like I shouldn't know this. It was really cool though, and I feel like if you are a writer or you do it as a hobby, if you like writing at all, I feel like you would enjoy this book. Honestly, after reading this, it just made me want to go romanticize my really mundane life. I gave this book 4 stars. Then I read Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. This is about Grace and Matt, who met at NYU when they were both, I don't remember if they were freshmen or they met at NYU when they were both going to NYU, and we get a lot of their story, how they fell in love and everything. But the thing is, the now, so there's like a big chunk of the story that's just them falling in love in the past, and then the now is them as adults. And they see each other on the platform. This is like at the back of the book, it's in the first chapter. They see each other in the subway station on the platform, but Grace's train is like leaving as Matt like catches her eye. The whole thing is like so dramatic. And honestly, I would love for this to be a movie. Like I would eat that up in a movie. But anyway, yeah, they basically miss each other, and it's like, oh my god, that's Grace. Like we haven't spoken in years, and he really wants to reconnect with her, and so he does everything to try to find her. I remember when I first read this book, I really enjoyed the part of it where they were at NYU and they were falling in love, because they just feel like such real people. The characters feel so real. It's not this like typical romance thing where they're grand gestures, and I love that. I love reading about these borderline unrealistic gestures in books, but like they just felt like such real people. All of the small little things and the little moments where you see them falling in love, like I can't explain it. And I did read this for the first time when I was in college, so I think I could just like relate to them as people a lot. I just know that the second time I read it, which was this month, I didn't feel as connected to them as characters during their college time. And it's just like, that makes sense. I graduated from college, so like I get it, like that was 2022 and now it's 2025, but still, you know, it still hit hard. 2022 versus 2025, the ending still broke me. The explanation of their fallout though honestly felt really insane reading the second time. It's like, why didn't you guys just communicate better? Like, it just feels like it really could have been avoided very easily. And it also is so, like, so many things happen when a simple conversation could have, you know, fixed it. I don't know. If miscommunication isn't your favorite trope, if you hate it with a passion like this, don't read this book. This book is not for you. It's still a 5-star read though. This book makes me feel everything. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I'm not even gonna say what this is about. All I'm saying is the third book's Fourth Wing, and Fourth Wing is about a war college with dragons. That's a great summary, honestly. Okay, but seriously, it's the third book to Fourth Wing, and if you haven't read that yet, then do you really even care what I rated Onyx Storm? Anyway, I think this book could best be reviewed with spoilers, but no spoilers here. I feel like this book made me realize that I can't be a fantasy girly. Not because I don't enjoy it, but because I am too impatient. Most fantasy books are within a series, which makes sense. But the waiting around for the next book, it's killing me. And the thing is, I feel like this book just didn't really answer any of my questions. It just didn't do enough, and I get why, because this is a 5-book series. We have 2 more books to go. Like, if this entire series was already out, I would have closed this book and happily go open the next one. But now I'm hearing that the next one comes out in 2 years, and I can't do this anymore. If you guys see me starting a fantasy series, please smack me, because this isn't for me. I'm so bothered by the fact that this is how it ended, and then I just have to sit around and wait that long. Speaking of the ending, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. The entire first half of this book is just like yapping and planning, and then yapping again, more planning, and it kind of felt a little repetitive at some points, and I understand why. I completely get it, but that doesn't really mean that I'm like entertained, you know? Like, I could understand where she was coming from when she was writing it this way, but understanding it doesn't mean that I love it. The side characters in this book, I have 2 opinions. Like, there's so many side characters, first of all, and I feel like the side characters that we've known from the beginning, like Rydick and Rhianna and Imogen, like I still, and Dane, I still care about like all of them, and I care about Sloane, and yeah, I still care about lots of them, but I know that she's like setting it up, and I know that they'll matter later. But as for right now, like Evelyn, Lynx, and blah blah blah, and all those people, every time they were brought up, I was just like, get these people out of my face. Like, who are like, I don't care. You know what's one thing about this book that kind of makes me sad is that I feel like after I read it, I went online searching for like theories and discussions and stuff about the book, and I found so many people just straight up confused, and I'm like, it's not your fault. Honestly, it's not your fault. It's Rebecca's. But it kind of just sucks. Like, so many people are misunderstanding the ending, and so many people are like, so why did this happen if that happened? And then there's threads of people like trying to explain it. It's just like, this isn't what the book should do. We should all get it. Like, we all got Fourth Wing, and we should all just be happily discussing and like saying our theories. I just found so many confused people, and just, that's not the vibe that this series is supposed to bring. Honestly, I don't hate this though. I feel like I'm really saying good things. I loved so many of the Zane and Violet moments. Like, those are my people. And Rydick, one of my new favorite characters. Like, there's so much about it that I love, and so many like, oh, like they're little bits, you know, that like really altered my brain chemistry. But it just didn't live up to my expectations. I think that's the problem. Like, my expectations, they were like up here, and it's like somewhere here. So it's not a terrible book, it's not bad, it just didn't live up to what I wanted. And that's more of a me problem than anything, honestly. I rated this book 3.25 stars, which is really sad, because As I said, Fourth Wing was a 5, Iron Flame was a 4, 3.25. It just means that we're going on a downward spiral, which I don't love. And I hope that that doesn't continue if in 2 years I'm still reading this series. Please tell me down below how you felt about this. I just need to know. The last book that I completed in January is P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Cannoli. I was about to say cannoli. It's probably not cannoli. Cannoli? I'm sorry, Lauren, but you get the point. P.S. I Hate You. And this book was such a roller coaster. I just realized that I still haven't rated it. I haven't given it a rating because I don't even know. First of all, I'm sorry. I was looking at this part that says 2 X's, 8 destinations, love travels fast. First of all, they weren't exes. They just had like one moment a couple years ago. Like, these 2 people, Maddie and Dom, they lost someone very close to them. His name is Josh. Josh was Maddie's brother and Josh was Dom's best friend. And so they are both grieving right now. We find out that Josh had this like dying wish to have his ashes scattered around different destinations because he loved to travel. So that's something that he wanted Maddie and Dom to do for him. Go visit these different destinations, 8 of them, and like scatter his ashes. Okay, cool. Honestly, sounds like an interesting premise to me. The thing about this is that I immediately thought, and I guess that's my own problem for having expectations, I immediately thought this would be a more emotional romance since the thing that's bringing them together is their grief. Maddie is also going through so much with her own insecurities, and also her mother, like her mother fuels her insecurities. So we're learning so much about that, and all of that just has such a serious tone to it. But then there's also this level of unseriousness, and I feel like Maddie in herself, she is so immature, and you either will hate it and find her annoying, or you're gonna think she's funny. I don't know where I stand. It just, for me, I think I more so hate it because it just felt so out of place. The jokes that she makes, the things that she says, just always felt so like it didn't fit. And it's almost like she was a character out of a light, fluffy rom-com in some moments, but then also she was grieving, like her brother died, and then she was also facing so many, like dealing with so many of her insecurities. And the thing about it is like, that's life. There are ups and downs. It just, life is long, and this is a 400-page book. Like, in a 400-page book, it just didn't like blend well together. It wasn't mixing well in the same pot. It just felt so all over the place. And then the third tone of things, the third thing that threw it off, was that the middle of this out of nowhere gets so spicy, which is fine. Okay, you guys decide that you're ready to do that, fine. But Dom becomes like a completely different person in these spy scenes. Like, in the rest of the book, he's a very like serious person. He's very composed. She literally calls him Mr. Responsible. Like, he doesn't even curse or anything like that. Like, that's a thing. That's his personality. Also, he's an accountant, and his character throughout the book just feels like such a regular, nice, cool guy. Like, I liked him. I loved where his character was going. But then in these spy scenes, he kind of gave off like one of the men from the Twisted series or something. And if you don't know, the Twisted series is literally dark romance. So we have this normal ass accountant, and then in these spy scenes, he switches, and he's just this like whole new person. It's just, it was so jarring. Like, who are you? I don't even recognize you right now. So the book just had 3 different tones, and it just felt so all over the place. So that's why I don't know how I feel about this book. Also, the ending was insane. I kind of liked it though. It was messy and it was dramatic, but I kind of liked it. What does that say about me? I read this book so fast. Like, I loved the writing of it, honestly. There were just some moments. I still truly don't know what I'm rating this. If I figure it out by the time I'm editing, I'll put it on the screen somewhere. I feel like this book, it's reminding me of a time that Jack Edwards was like reviewing something, and he said, I said that I liked it. I never said that it was good. And that's how I feel about this book. So the one book that I DNF'd this month, and the first DNF of the year, one that I'm so sad about, is On Rotation. And this is by the same author of Between Friends and Lovers, the book that I could not shut up about last year, and so that just makes me so sad. The things that both these books have in common is that the main character, they're both in the medical field, but one thing I will say is in between Friends and Lovers, she was like on a break. Like she was taking a break for her mental health and she just wasn't working at the time. And in this book, she was like trying to get into, like she was still doing exams, and I don't even know how to explain it because the whole medical jargon is like going over my head, and that's like my biggest issue with this book. This book literally has footnotes, and you could just imagine that the footnotes are all filled with medical stuff, and and other things too, but I don't really love footnotes. I only got to page 86 in this book. I feel like me saying that one of the things that I don't like about it is like all the medical terms, and it was just going into so much details about her schooling, but the book is literally called On Rotation. I guess because when I read Between Friends and Lovers, like that's something that I always stated, even though she was in the medical field, it never went too into details about that, because obviously as someone who leaves the medical stuff to the professionals, like I'm not gonna enjoy reading about it, you know, unfortunately. So that one really worked, and this one just isn't working for me. One thing that I didn't like about it is that she meets this guy and she spends one afternoon with him, and I feel like she got so attached in one afternoon. Basically, he turned out to not be the person she thought he was, and it's like, well, you only spoke to him for one afternoon, so why did you have that many expectations? You don't know this man. And then she's like so disappointed, and she's like angry at him. It's like, how do you have so much like energy and feelings towards someone you had one afternoon with? I don't know, I didn't love the way the story was going, and maybe it gets better. I'll probably never know. I'll probably never find out. Maybe I'll look up what happens. But yeah, first DNF of the year. If you finished this and you absolutely loved it, let me know. Maybe I'll go back to it in the future, but like in the far future. When I DNF a book, if I decide to go back to it, I take a really long time to actually go back to it because I have to forget everything that I disliked about it first. But yeah, let me know if you read this, you finished it. Let me know how you felt about it. I would love to know. I almost cut my jeans when I was cutting up this paper, and that would have been very tragic. But anyway, for the parts that needed filling out, I also did this like new 2025 reading goals page. Just my only reading goals are no books rated under 3 stars, meaning I need to DNF more, read 50 books or more, focus on books you love, not what's trending. Happy reading. Anyway, so the monthly page, my monthly favorite for January is the Vows, if that wasn't obvious, by my reading wrap up. And then in my little ugly library thing, I just filled out 8 of the spots. Like obviously these are differently rated, like 4 point something or 3 point something, but I have 2 3 stars and then a couple 4s and 1 5, but that's a reread. Yeah, I just like fill out what I've read so far. And then for the bingo thing, I actually decided to put the same amount of squares on the other side. I'm gonna put the pictures of what corresponds with the bingo thing so that I could like know. Does that make sense? Oh, obviously it makes sense. You could see, you're not you're not stupid. But anyway, for one word title, I did real, And then for classic, I did a movable feast. Honestly, I could have done a couple of these in the bingo thing, but I don't want all of the spots to be done in January, you know? Like, I don't want them to be done too soon. I could have done Real for Dual Point of View. I could have done Onyx Storm for over 500 pages. I could have done Onyx Storm for 2025 new release. New to me author, I could have done P.S. I Hate You. A reread I could have done Before We Were Strangers. But I also wanted to put things that I like rate highly here. Like, if anything, if I need to just put anything at the end of the year, I'll just fill it in later. But for now, I want to put things that I've rated like really highly. And then for the 2025 TBR section, the only two things that I ticked off was Onyx Storm and P.S. I Hate You. I think I'm gonna be rating P.S. I Hate You like 3.5. So I think that's what I'm gonna settle on. So I'm gonna write that in. Having the rating next to my 2025 TBR, it could be an overview of like how much I enjoyed these books and how well I picked a TBR, if that makes sense. So far, it's giving mid. 3.25 and 3.5, so hopefully that gets better. I'm gonna put the rest of my January reads by my January spread, and then I'm also gonna do a recap of my month, like a scrapbook type of recap. This is my February vision board, and not much changed. I honestly kind of just switched out some things. I'm gonna try to put the original vision board somewhere on the screen. Actually, I feel like I need to look at it to see what changed. Okay, so I replaced the water with the movie theater, not because I'm gonna stop drinking water. I just feel like I have it down packed. Like, I'm a thirsty girl, so like the getting enough water, it's happening already. For the January vision board, I had a picture of a journal, and I wanted to like encourage myself to journal more, and that's also something that I already have down packed. Like, it was like 3 days, and then I literally went back and wrote everything from those 3 days. So I think I'm doing pretty well with the journaling. I switched that out for like, it's this picture of a coloring book with markers. I want to start doing cozy hobbies. I feel like January I was more focused on new habits, and now I want to incorporate some hobbies. Like, I love going to the movie theater alone. It's literally my favorite solo activity. Something about it, just going to the cinema alone just hits different. So I definitely need to remember how much I love doing that, and I feel like good movies are out right now, so going to the theater sometime this February. And I keep forgetting to like buy a coloring book. Want to get a coloring book, listen to audiobooks. I feel like that could be such a calming thing. And then I also have like painting pottery here. I want to go back to Color Me Mine. I had a yoga studio already, but I just changed out the picture because the people in this picture were wearing pink, and I feel like it suited the whole February vibe. There was a January quote on the January one. Obviously, January's over. I switched it out with this quote that says, "Get out of bed, do the things, own your life." And this little red thing says, "Love yourself the way you wish they did." I also put a little coffee shop, like this picture at the top represents a coffee shop, because I really want to go to coffee shops to like do more stuff. Like, if I'm editing a video for hours, I want to do it at a coffee shop versus at home. I don't know why. I just feel like I'll be more productive there. I want to bake some cookies for Valentine's Day. Probably not from scratch, but I want to do that anyway. And then I put a picture of a girl in the gym. Like, I'm really trying to get my workouts together. Sometimes what ends up happening is like the week would go by and it's Friday. I'm like, oh, I've only gone once. And then I'm gonna go today, and then I'm not going tomorrow. So it's like I accidentally only go 2 times sometimes, and so I really need to like get solid with it, and like I need to lock in. But yeah, there aren't many changes. Not much has changed from January to February. I just kind of made it more pink and cutesy because Valentine's Day. I really like it. But yeah, I'm just gonna like do the rest of that, and the sun's probably gonna set while I'm doing this. I'll come back and show you later. I was making my matcha this morning, and midway through it I realized I don't have any milk. And by midway, I mean like I made the little matcha thing, the water, the powder, little sweetener. Literally all that was left to do, put in some ice and some milk, and I don't have any milk. Last night, I was trying to decide if I should start Forget Me Not by Julie Soto or Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Part of Your World would be a reread, but I really didn't like it when I first read it, and I have no idea why. Like, it was my first ever Abby Jimenez book, and I rated it like 2 stars, I think. And thinking about how much I like the other 2 books in that series, it feels insane to me. And I'm just wondering if maybe I wasn't into her writing yet, or maybe I just didn't get it. One thing that I remember when I read it the first time is that like certain things would happen. I'm like, is this serious? Like, this sounds ridiculous. And now I realize Abby Jimenez like has this way of writing really dramatic things into her books. So maybe I just thought it was unserious and I didn't enjoy it. I don't know. I kind of want to reread it. But what I was saying is that I started Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, and the first 2 chapters were just her doing her wedding planning stuff because that's her job, and I just found it so boring. And I'm like, I feel like this has potential. And also for the first 2 chapters, we weren't introduced to the male main character yet, and I'm like, I think I should at least read it up until then before I decide if I'm gonna DNF or not. And I really do think it has potential, but maybe it's just not a nighttime book. Like, when I'm reading before bed, I'm already like half gone. And Abby Jimenez, she has this like way of just throwing you into the story. I think I said that in my review of Life's Too Short, but yeah, she just has a way of throwing you into the story, and that's what I needed. So I read 2 chapters of Forget Me Not, stopped, and then read 1 chapter of Part of Your World, and it was time for me to go to sleep. So yeah, I'm kind of reading them both. Don't know which one I'll continue when I get to the cafe, but yeah, that's the reading update. Oh my god, wait, actually, you know what I just remembered? The reason why I stopped reading it at the point where we got to the male main characters chapter is because I read like a couple lines and I find out that his last name is Bloom and he owns a flower shop, and I'm just like, why are we doing this again? His name is Elliot Bloom and he owns a flower shop. Like, I'm triggered. It brought back some flashbacks to a different book. So I just stopped and went to go read Part of Your World. I literally just remembered that. Like, my brain last night, when I was like slightly sleepy, couldn't deal with that. But I'll see how it goes. I think I'm gonna continue and just see what happens. Confused by how I rated Part of Your World 2 stars the first time I read it. I guess I don't know, maybe I just wasn't into Abby Jimenez yet. But I was in the cafe reading this and literally giggling, and I had to like stop myself. I had to like look up and like make sure no one's watching, no one's seeing me be an idiot. This one is an age gap, but the woman is older. Alexis, she is a ER doctor, and she's going through a lot right now because she's going through a breakup, and the man that she just broke up with, he works with her. I think he's like above her in the hospital or whatever, and he's just the worst person ever, and he gaslights her. He's really mean. He's just a terrible person. She's also struggling with the fact that she has to like stay there because of some family legacy, and like her brother is already moving away, so she feels this guilt to like stay there. She likes this new guy who is younger than her, and she doesn't think it's appropriate to date a guy that's that much younger than her. I remember that I liked that part. I remember thinking that I don't read. Actually, this is the only book I've ever read where the age gap is the woman being older. And I was like, do your thing, girl. But so far I'm loving it so much, and it's definitely not feeling like a 2-star read. Literally don't know where that came from. I don't know what mood I was in when I read this and gave it 2 stars. Forget Me Not. I once again tried to continue in the cafe. Wasn't feeling it. I don't know if this is a DNF or not. If you guys have read Forget Me Not and you liked it, let me know if I should continue it. When I got home, this package was outside my door, and I'm pretty sure this is just a coloring book. Okay, so I got this one. Cute and groovy. I feel like this is a pretty popular, well, on Amazon anyway, when you look up coloring books, like this brand, Cocowayo, comes up a lot. The cowboy hat. Friendship bracelets that say Sunshine Rain. I wonder where they got that idea. I also got new markers. Like, I kind of just wanted to try out different markers. I already have the super tips. That coffee shop that I went to today, I really like it. It's nice and like, it's not too crowded. The food was like fine, but it's a good place to go and like get work done or just sit and read, work on your laptop. Great Wi-Fi. They have lots of outlets, nice seating. Getting seating in a cafe lately has been awful, but that was a really nice place and I feel like I should go there more. On my way there, I passed this bookstore called Center Fiction or Center for Fiction, whatever it was. And I didn't even know that place existed, and I'm always in that area, literally just never walked by that bookstore. It was really cool. They have lots of like good lit fic, contemporary fiction. I feel like I also saw so many different versions of books, like books that I already know the covers of, and then they had like other versions of it. So many different editions. I don't know if they're special to that store or what, just stuff that I've never seen before, and there was like really, really cool. When I'm not on a book buying ban, I will go back there and support them. Such a cute little place. So I think I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe for more. And if you got to this point in the video, comment this emoji, and I'll see you soon. Bye.